pilot, we literally have had our sales teams coming up with use cases themselves. And seeing the click-throughs and the usage has been really high. So they feel a sense of ownership. So it's not just us saying, hey, let's go put a fix or feature into the CPQ tool. They're actually saying, you know what, if we did have this use case, it actually would make our productivity go up higher. So having the part of the change management, having sales teams be part of that journey and part of that ownership, it goes a long ways.
I say it, that they were doing things just to tick the box in a lot of cases and things like that, and it was, and again, I told you it was hard to do some of these activities. So we did see, with the ability to use WalkMe in some of the guiding, and it showed some of the things that maybe they didn't know they could do in the tool that would add value to them. We did see them start to doing activities in the tool more. I would say we saw more of that. Because to me, just turning it on doesn't matter. I wanted to know what they were doing in the tool room. So we did start seeing them doing some other things. The thought processes, and when we were looking at the quality of some of their activities, we saw better quality because we were able to use the smart tips to put some hints and tips and things like that that maybe they didn't know before. And so I would say we did see some increase in what we call adoption, which is actually doing the activities that are adding value for them as an account.
We've done some. Part of our pilot, we are seeing some really positive outcomes financially, not just on time savings, which, even if you say 17 minutes or 15 minutes a day per rep, that's still money, but also being able to use the tool to position products properly is also huge. Reducing number of contacts into support organizations is also savings as well, which all leads to OpEx savings, right? So there's other benefits besides, adoption leads to, I believe, big financial gains.
We did roll out adoption metrics so we could understand how our reps were doing kind of the baseline activities in the CRM. And as we were rolling out that strategy, it was a huge aha moment for us where we were saying, hey, a job aid and a WebEx is really not the best way for these folks to understand what we're asking them to do. Because we're putting so much emphasis on adoption, we really needed to be introspective and listen to what our reps were saying back to us, which was, this really isn't the best way for us to learn and retain. And by the way, sales ops, you're changing this platform all the time. You're adding a new field, you're adding a new process, we're rolling out a new product. I mean, things change and they're going to continue to change very quickly. So what we're doing with the tool, which is great, is, and Lightning's a perfect example of something that we're leveraging WalkMe for, is we've built our top work streams in WalkMe, and it's part of our actual training and rollout plan for that tool. But also when we're changing things, we leverage that shout out feature. And so when our reps are logging in, the first thing they see is, we've changed something, and here's what it is. Click here to find out what it is. Instead of us trying to get that message out with a job aid and a call in a newsletter that's just getting lost in somebody's inbox. So we saw actually a really large spike when we rolled out a new process when we were beta testing WalkMe. So we had a group that didn't have it and a group that did have it. We put out that, hey, we've changed something, or hey, click here to learn about this new process. And the group that had the WalkMe tool adopted it really, really quickly. It spiked. So that was a great use case, and obviously.
Some of the things we did in terms of digital transformation and starting to put this into action, is we had to actually step back and simplify. For us, it was the biggest thing was we had too much going on. We were trying to be agile, and I think people sometimes confuse agile with just run, and that's not always the case, and so putting out new things, new enhancements on a monthly basis just did not allow for that change management. So as we are starting to head down the path of greater digital transformation, I think we've spent this past year literally simplifying our processes, putting in some strong governance, and we actually had the governance in place, but actually applying the governance to ensure that we could actually handle it, but allowing us to do that change management, because I can run as fast as I want to with the tool, but if I leave the business behind, it's not going to help anybody, and I'm never going to see the adoption. They might turn it on, which is usage, but they will never adopt it because they just will never see the value. They don't have time to keep up. So for us, that was the biggest piece that we've started down that journey, is just to look at how we can simplify.
But I would advise, if you guys are starting to think about it, is making sure that you have very clear metrics, KPI set up, and how you measure it before and after, to make sure that you're seeing the right gains. It's kind of similar to, as Jane talked about, as we were doing the pilot, we did a control group, and without not using WalkMe and using WalkMe. We also did time and motion studies of both groups. We also measured, we knew that the number of contacts going into our support team, so measured before and after of those users on the pilot, without the pilot as well. So we went through, and even the financials, we knew that certain product positioning that we did, we knew what the sales revenue margin was before we started, and then measuring afterwards of those sales reps who actually used that positioning, product positioning piece of the WalkMe and measured as well.